Of course, you've been in session the whole time. I should have mentioned that right from the start. And welcome to the sanctuary, which we need. We need today. It's been such a brutal time. Look, the last 2 years have been brutal, but here we are. We're still in this incredibly disruptive and incredibly volatile solar maximum. The hammering on the planet, which is the hammering of ourselves, of course, is causing all sorts of havoc at the moment. Now, what we are seeing this week, particularly the last 10, 12 days, there's been an enormous increase in people leaving their bodies, people dying, as they call it, people leaving the physical body. And probably the reason we're seeing this incredible uptick of so many people leaving is because of the enormous electromagnetic disruption that we are all dealing with. Every single body on this planet that exists in vibration is dealing with this. Every living body, be it animal, plant, fish, water, everything that has its own intelligence is feeling this incredible uptick. Now, things where this is affecting the physical human body at the moment is because we know that the brain, the neurological brain in the skull of the human, has an enormous electromagnetic field. And we know that things like what we've just got and what we're in at the moment, the incredible full moon effect, affects the brain and affects the behavior of the human and all creatures quite dramatically, hence the term lunatics, as we know. Right? That's going on top of and it was coming in quite strong. This has not been what we call a super moon or anything like that. This is kind of average. We don't have a super moon, I don't think, till about October this year. But this particular moon coming in on top of what the Schumann resonance is doing in reaction to what the sun, the star, the what's happening in our solar system, what's happening beyond that, all the effects that are going on the planet. The moon has done what the moon does. It's amplified or actually magnified that effect. And so particularly in the last 7, 8 days, we've seen people not just having problems with mental health and issues like that, but probably more significantly, and where we're seeing a lot of people leave the planet, is they've been having trouble with their hearts. Now, the heart, as we know, the electromagnetic field around the heart is about 400 to 500 times bigger than the electromagnetic field around the human brain. It's an enormous field. We know, and we do, that the heart is an enormous communication landing zone for us. And we're seeing it not just in what's going on with communication. We're going to talk about all of this, but what's going on in communication, what's happening to us, what's happening in our divinity. Yes, I'm going to use that word, and you're going to hear that a bit in the next 20 minutes or so. But we're seeing that physically in the heart as well. We're seeing a lot of people have had various heart issues. We're also seeing, though, that there's been a large uptick in people having actual heart attacks, the way that I actually had a heart attack, with something that's called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Takotsubo is a Japanese term that refers to the octopus. Takotsubo is what they call broken heart. You see it in most of the heart attacks caused by Takotsubo is in it's something like 92% women have this sort of heart attack. It is actually an emotionally driven heart attack where one of the chambers of the heart blows up, like an octopus, Takotsubo, right? One of the chambers blows up and it mimics all of the symptoms of angina. And so when women present with it, they do actually present with something. A lot of women don't actually have a heart attack. Occasionally, when it's big enough and effective enough, you do actually have a heart attack, which is what happened to me. This was actually my diagnosis. This is the diagnosis they gave me. And so this is when you have had such an enormous emotional shock. Let's gear that in. The emotion, the essential ingredient of success as a human, right? When you've had such an enormous emotional trauma is when, and hence why it affects women more, is when you tend to have this type of heart attack. We have seen a huge uptick of this sort of actual heart attack. Now, as I said, most people will have it, the symptoms will go away. But there's a significant percentage of people that actually have a heart attack or an actual infarction. That's happening more in the last 10, 12 days. More they're finding like that the heart is not, in fact, the pumping machine, it's a vortex. And they're now talking about the heart like it is a vortex, which I love. I've been so overdue for people to talk about that. The heart is actually built like a spiral. If you look it up, you can actually pull it out like a spiral. It's actually built like that. It's not a body of meat that pumps. It's actually something that works and uses that magnetic field in that spiral effect, in that vortex, which is, I love that they're calling it that now. It's actually a portal, but we know that. They don't know that yet. They'll get there. Hang on. We're seeing a lot of people have other issues as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people have been leaving. We know that. And it's so amplified at the moment. And this moon has amplified. It's done that thing. It's magnified it. Where we're seeing this is I want to bring you right back to the fact that we're kind of we're in a battle for our own humanness at the moment. It really is like this is the make or break where we make the choice of staying connected to the whole present, staying connected to the divinity, which is actually what we're here for, about the human body. And our choice to be here in a human body is the link to our own whole divinity. And so today we're going to go over some really basic stuff about what we need to do for the physicality of this biology to help it stay connected. Because what's also going on in the planet is everything is in flux. We've talked about this before, and I will talk to you about world events and even geopolitics and things like that, because the theme of any time I bring any of those things up is about the fact that we are being very deliberately and more desperately, we are having distractions thrown at us where they are playing to the egoist, they're playing to the essential ego of the human existence. Now, the ego is not a bad thing. You don't need to think of it like it's a negative and, oh, so egotistical. And no. The ego is essential in the human existence. The ego is actually the doorway for you to step into seeing beyond that and beyond the enforced limitations of the human existence. But those limitations are being slammed and hammered by things like all the diversions that are being thrown at us. But these diversions, we know that they're very deliberate. We're seeing this more and more. I'm hoping, to me, it feels like we're seeing it more and more. I'm hoping the populace is growing who can see the extraordinary puppeteering of what's being thrown at us to try and keep control of the human being. But we have all these diversions that are keeping us from the truth of this incredible force within us, our superpower, our super being of our superhumanness of what we actually have. We've got all these distractions of security collapse and wars and incredible dramas and stupid dramatic puppets of, that are making all sorts of stupid statements. We've got disruptions playing to that egoism. And not to your egotistical stuff. This is not about bravado and deluded beliefs in self and stuff. This is actually different. But these disasters like engineered climate disasters and engineered pandemics, which we know that viruses now being structured and thrown at us to try and create more pandemics. Having all these lies told to us to keep us in our place, and they're getting more and more extreme to the point that they're getting more and more obvious as well. Particularly in the United States, in Northern America, we're seeing they're being slammed. The beautiful people are being just hammered left, right, and centre with lies, disasters, enormous events that are just slamming it. And the utter lack of compassion, empathy, or care is increasing exponentially there for the people that are suffering. With the floods that happened in Texas, probably one of the most beautiful things I saw there was how the Mexicans just crossed the river and helped everyone when there was no help, like coming from their own country and their own governments and their own, people. The Mexicans just said, we don't give a damn about the politics. We're going to get in there and actually help. And it was just beautiful that they did. They saved a lot of lives. And our divinity, the ultimate definition, you can look this up. Divinity is not about religion. It's not about limitation. It is not about rituals. It's not about the things that we have had indoctrined and been conditioned to believe. Divinity is wholly and solely about your ability to transcend. That's what it's actually about. Divinity is about stepping outside the perceived limitations of human existence. And it is just perception. And to take you right back to where we started with this, the human body is the link to the divinity. This vehicle we've chosen to walk around in while we go through this contracted life that we chose. I don't know, what were we thinking? But this is the link to it. And so I want you to go back to trusting in that. But I was talking to Nikki, who, of course, is an extraordinary crystal communicator. And I was saying to her, I'm actually going to ask Nikki to pop in whenever she wants to and share with us her thoughts on this. We've just had a full moon, and I've often joked with you that I treat my body like it is the crystal, but it's not a joke. It is. All right. So with this full moon, being so amplified with everything going on, I've lifted the curtains and slept in the moonlight. I also, the crystals that are in my house were calling about 2 days ago to go into, stick me on the windowsill, stick me in the moonlight, put us there, let us use this. For some reason, louder than ever, the crystals wanted to cleanse, recharge, and do everything they can under that amplification. And so I did a similar thing with Nikki, like we were talking about it, and I knew that I would have crystals that wanted to talk today. I'm surprised though, I've sort of sat with them all and just said, all right, who's coming? Who's coming with me? And I was surprised by who did. So I have an enormous piece of adventuring, which is, I'm pretty sure she's here for me, this guy, but very powerful, but very focused on me, this one. It's this. Here we go. Which is a protective device that starts with O, Orgonite. KG, it's an Orgonite. Now, this actually has, yeah, you can see it. You can see it's got layers. It's a very, very powerful protective device that was given to me by the beautiful Beck Barmforth, who actually has an identical one herself with different symbol on it. Mine has, I don't know if you can see it, but mine has the spiral, the vortex. To me, mine has the heart on it. It's actually in copper. In the bottom, we have like tourmaline and very, very protective and everything else. It's been separated from anything communicative at the top by gold. This is actual gold here, because these two don't like each other. The bottom layer and the top layer are not friends. And this is incredibly powerful. And it was the one that said to me first, I need the windowsill. Put me on it. I need to shift gears. And we're going to start with taking care of your personal protection. All right, so working your field as above, so below, my guard, my shield, on a not necessarily a daily basis, but I do want you to check it regularly. Just check that you have that beautiful shield, that boundary up. You don't need to be afraid. This is not from fear. This is walking in your own divinity. I want you to think more of being inside that beautiful, transparent, spherical shell of empowerment in the self and the connection of it. Other things to do. You must stay hydrated. I know how weird, and this is right. I'm going to talk to you purely about the biotech here for a minute. All right. Staying hydrated matters more than you think. And drinking water is actually not it. Drinking water will go through you. You'll feel better. The mouth will be moistened, all of that sort of stuff. But most of if you're just drinking water, even filtered, it's probably going to mostly go straight through you. You want to add elements to your water, because water on this planet has been, don't look at what's gone on with water. But even if what you do is you grind some salt into your water, that will help you hydrate incredibly. Salt is critical to the human body. We've had an awful lot of lies told to us. Again, the lies that have taken us away from the divinity, the distractions. But when it comes to making sure we don't communicate with the whole of self, they've done some really great crap. Not least of all, telling us that cholesterol is bad for us. The human brain is made up of cholesterol. It's only since people have gone on what they call statins, and when they did, that's when people started getting things like Alzheimer's. That denial of cholesterol, the brain is built from it. You need cholesterol in your system, okay? And you need that. Neurology is our conscious recognition of that divine communication. You need that neurology. So we've got our hydration, we've got that. All right, movement. Movement is medicine. All right, walking is medicine. If that's all you can do, movement is medicine. If you can do in your morning practice when you get up and you just do a few stretches, do it. Like keep the muscles long, keep the mobility of your body as much as you can, however you do it. All right, however it works for you, whatever makes your soul sparkle. Take care of these basics in the human body so that we can step out of the restraint and the limitations and the perceptions that we've had being conditioned with all of our lives. All right. So we've been told, remember back in the 80s, or 90s is when they started the whole, you can't eat eggs. That's crap. All right. You should know that that's not true at all, that eggs have cholesterol, et cetera, et cetera. Eggs are actually a superfood. They're very, very good for you. And it's don't separate the white and the yolk. You need the yolk. Sherpas in the Himalayas, the Sherpas that are going up Everest, in the morning, they will take an egg, crack it raw. Yeah, don't worry about that, the raw thing. They'll drain off the white. They just eat the egg yolk. That's all they have for breakfast. The incredible nutrition in that, it is incredibly good for your brain. All right. It is incredibly good for your body, the nutrition that is in an egg yolk. But they don't want the protein load, so they drop off the white. But we need protein. Protein's essential. In your breakfast every morning, oh God, the worst invention ever is breakfast cereals. What an absolute crap thing to do to the human body in the morning. But again, this is part of it. This is when this all started back, in this century, or not this century, last century, where I was born. That's when this crap started of trying to control the human mass and trying to deny them that connectivity. They tried to do it through religions, telling us that it needed to be fear-based, telling us that we needed to... One more thing. All right, so now what I will do, when I talk about the human body being the crystal itself, this is where your communication comes first and foremost. But we actually do have brilliant friends here on this planet that have come from the planet, gifted to us ourselves in the form of these incredible crystals that will speak for you. Now, on the solstice, I was told to take off a ring that I was told to put on when I stepped out of the healing closet years ago, and often that I had to put a different ring on. And so now I actually wear something that's yellow gold, or I think it's yellow. Yeah, it's yellow gold. And this is a very deep, very powerful ruby. It was back on the solstice that I was given the information of the shift in the power of the crystals that will guide us and hold us. And so I was told which finger it had to go on, and I was told what has to go on there. The communication, so coming in is they've lifted their game as well. Crystals have, whatever crystals that you do have. All right. Nikki, I'm going to let you step in here if you can.
Okay.
And just share anything you've had come through. Because Nikki said the same thing, that she knew when she come on what needed to be shared and from
Yeah.
who.
Yeah. So these are my guys at the moment. I got a smoky quartz, which I just love. It's been on the windowsill in the full moon, and it is just so full of rainbows. And then Tina, wherever you are, this is I say some kind of relative of what you've got. This is actually amethyst. Every time I buy amethyst, turns out to be ametrine. It's got citrine in it as well. It's like a really, really, I don't know, this is the only amethyst I want around me at the moment. It is, where's it from? It's from Brazil, but like on the Cambodian border apparently. And there's a scene there, and it's just really, really, it's just really talking to me at the moment. So I think,
Earth, did citrine and an amethyst come together? That's amazing.
well, they do grow together. I mean, citrine, a lot of citrine is heated amethyst anyway.
Oh,
So, but every time I buy amethyst, it's got the citrine with it. It's like amethyst. Oh, this isn't even what I was going to say, but the citrine's kind of got that focus. The amethyst is about It's really about kind of getting that high perspective on your healing, on your behavior, on your on your habit patterns, and seeing that higher perspective. Because I've always said, I think that healing is a very large part of healing is consciousness, is awareness of like really knowing. Now, the crystals that, I mean, it's funny, I've been avoiding my website, but when I went to list some crystals this week, it's the amethyst and it's the aventurine coming up.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. They are coming up because aventurine, green aventurine, again, they're very much about becoming aware of what you're doing. Aventurine is hugely, hugely clever. I've really seen this through people working with it lately. I did a talk the other week. I gave out some crystals, and one lady came over. She got an aventurine, and she came over afterwards. I mentioned her, didn't I? She'd had cancer. She said that she had a lump in her breast at the moment, and she'd put the aventurine in her bra, and it had moved right across to where it needs to be. Aventurine, when it's on the skin, it will tell you exactly where it to go. If it's away from you, it will kind of work more in the aura. So they are really clever. Yes, they have hugely accelerated lately to the point where I think this is why I thought, oh, have I gone off the crystals? I was avoiding being in this room this week. I'd kind of come in and I'd be like, oh my God, it's too much. So yeah, they are definitely accelerating. They're I'm not kidding. When I asked for what they wanted to say tonight, first of all, I got, and this is their words, not mine, I got, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Like, really hold yourself accountable. This is why they're becoming hard to work with, because they have stepped up. They are holding us accountable. They are trying to get us to be accountable, because what's going on the planet is, I don't know, this full moon, Melissa, I saw some dirty bits of myself that I didn't like, things that
Yeah.
happened, things I said, things I did, things that I felt like I was pushed into doing, or encouraged to approach certain situations a certain way. And afterwards you go, oh my God, what was that about? Why did I do that? Like, okay, we've got to shut this down. And we're like, we're going to pay. We're just not going to let this get big. But it's all that icky stuff of ourselves, because this is what's going on the planet anyway. We're
Yeah.
seeing all the ickiness, and we are all the same, and we are we are this collective conscious, and I've said this to you before, haven't I? It's about like seeing what's going on in the world, and almost like the messages coming through to me, which probably means from the crystals, is almost like we're accountable too, and we are that, and own. You're talking about the ego, own all of it. Look at your dark side, because we've all got a dark side. Where there's dark, there's light, We've all
So have
got
you been
that.
doing like, I feel like it's been like AA, where I keep getting shown shit the last few days that I don't like, or mistakes that I
Mm,
made that I didn't even realize.
yeah,
And it's a bit like AA, where I'm like, oh my God. And I immediately apologize to people. Like, I'm just sending it out to neutralize that karma and just say, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to dishonor that. I didn't mean to,
yeah.
that was
Just
not
see
my
what,
intent. And that was just a mistake. And there hasn't been that many, by the way. But it's just that thing too of seeing the shit that it's being accountable. And it is very much, this is saying the aventurine has been doing the gay
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, totally. It's
yeah.
like you just, that accountability.
I've been avoiding stuff too. It's funny to hear you say that. It's
Isn't
like,
that funny that we've come up with the same stuff? I mean, amethyst is like AA, because it's about finding the roots of it. The Greeks used it to avoid drunkenness, and it's not a physical healer. Everything it does is through the nervous system, but it's so much more about like really finding what's driving those addictions, the behaviors, the habit patterns. So yeah, it is a bit like AA. AA is for love the amethyst with the citrine in it. It just kind of gives it an extra gives it an extra something, but it definitely, yes, it will give you a hard time. The other thing that they are saying, remember, if you're working, you were talking about working with crystals and how to communicate with crystals. They're saying, please remember that we are consciousness, that the
They are.
crystals are conscious, that they have a
Remember that
consciousness.
they are healers. Like if you have a crystal with you, it is shifting the vibration of that physical biology. Okay. If you're told to wear a piece of selenite, take that seriously. Like if you're told to, yeah, if you get the instinct to pick up a crystal you haven't looked at for ages and wherever you need to put it, don't worry so much about the left, the right, the whatever. It's going to wholly immerse the body in a different vibration. And that's with purpose. We need, as the people that we are, with the awareness that we have, understand the physical biology is your link. It communicates in so many ways, but this is the critical link to your whole divinity. We've been gifted this incredible gift in healing. We have an incredible gift in it. And the more I see people trying to respin, rebrand, resell the same old spiritual shit, I understand the incredible, I guess, responsibility, but the incredible gift we have to be working in these multi dimensions at all times, where, and you're not alone in that. These crystals that are here with us, use them and use the other elements like the water, like like the spoken word. Don't forget the power of the spoken word. Don't forget that what you speak is what you create.
Mm.
Be careful. Don't say I'm broke. Don't say I can't afford that because you'll be creating that. Be careful of the language that you're putting out there because you are casting spells effectively. Okay. Be careful what you're doing with that. With your water, with what you're eating, be conscious of what you're putting in there. But at the same time, we are human and we're here for the experience. And if you want that freaking cheesecake, have it. If you've got the opportunity to eat something fabulous that you know is going to make your heart sing or it's going to return you to childhood wonderful memories or something like that, and food has that incredible medicine to it, doesn't it? And so absolutely do that. Then make up for it later. The next day, make sure you eat a bit cleaner or whatever you're doing, but don't miss the experience. I will say to you one more thing, and I know we've run over, but I will say one more thing. Please, please stop drinking alcohol. Okay. Or reduce it right back. I don't drink alcohol. Occasionally I do. I have no issues with addiction or anything like that. But alcohol is one of the most insipid drugs for the human body to ingest. It is so, so bad for us. Look at how fast an alcoholic ages. Look at what happens to their brain. Look at what happens to their physical body and their incapacity to move. There is a reason it is the last legal drug that they push, advertise, and never restrain. Look, with cigarettes, they've just taken it to a new level with Australia, where now when you buy cigarettes, you can only buy a packet of 20. That's the biggest pack you can buy. And like Australia is really full on about cigarettes. Everything's blacked out. You're not allowed, it's the advertising completely gone. You're not meant to have them. They'll do that with cigarettes, but they haven't done that with alcohol. And I'm here to tell you alcohol's worse. It is a worse drug. If you really enjoy a glass of wine, and I do, I love a beautiful wine. Every now and then I will drink a beautiful glass of wine. I will have it occasionally and I'll love it. And I'll do the same thing if I can't, dairy and I are not friends. But if I had a piece of cheesecake, I'd do the same thing. I'd be cleaner and kinder to my body for the next few days after I'd had it. Same thing with alcohol. If you find yourself drinking it, obviously we're not out there binge drinking, but if you find yourself drinking it, then do the right thing to recover your liver, recover your physical system. More than anything, though, to recover your brain, because that's where most of the damage comes, and it is part again of whatever negative powers to be trying to suppress the human divinity. It's one of the many tools. Okay, not a conspiracy, just what's going on the planet. What Nikki said's true. Everything's amplified. The noise on the planet's amplified. The planet herself is shaking. We have earthquakes happening everywhere. Volcanic eruptions are erupting all over the planet. And then, of course, and this is not to raise fear, this is all part of what we're here to experience. But if you haven't heard, because they are trying to suppress it, but the ocean's current reversed its direction 2 weeks ago. down south in the Southern Ocean, down near Antarctica, where the current and hence the climate actually originates, because this affects all the weather patterns on the planet. That reversed. If you can even imagine what the geomagnetics on this planet had to do for that to occur. That's why in the last 2, 3 weeks we've seen all kinds of volcanic eruptions. Well, and that's all of it's played in. It had to happen that the solar maximum kept slamming the planet. The Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's reactivity to what's happening, has just done. The stuff that I'm watching on that daily is what the new codes, the new communication, the slamming, the changing in the planet herself. Of course, we're feeling it. Of course, people are having all sorts of physical problems are being amplified in your biology with that. And we're seeing it primarily around the organs that have the largest electromagnetic fields being affected. So we are seeing it around brain, we're seeing it around heart, we're seeing it around liver. Okay. You're okay. That's not to raise fear in you. That was always meant to happen for the planet. I debated and debated whether I would tell you about that because I know a lot of people haven't heard that. I know that they've been trying to suppress it. I really looked into whether it was some bullshit AI conspiracy crap. Honestly, I'm hating AI at the moment. Another thing with the brain in particular, and the last thing I'll leave you with, like alcohol, don't use AI unless you need to for something. Okay, just don't. The studies that have come, particularly out of Sweden, have been amazing, but they're terrifying as well. The studies that were released from Sweden, large controlled studies over many, many participants, have shown that people using AI rapidly you lose really fast, are losing the ability to create. They're rapidly losing the neurotransmitters in the brain of imagination. Imagination is where the connection to divinity lives. Imagination, look at Einstein quotes about imagination. Creativity, discovery, evolution of the human comes from imagination. And it's if you're using ChatGPT to write your emails or to write something or to, for people that are using it regularly all the time, their brain function diminishes dramatically in 6 weeks, really quickly. So please stay away from it, from anything that is creative. Use it, mechanical crap that doesn't affect how you're thinking or what you're contributing to the planet. Okay. But that is one of the nastiest things they've put out there, the nastiest diseases they're putting out there to kill human imagination. And so watch out for that. All right, I'm going to leave you there because I've gone way over time, but today was an important day. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for taking this on. Of course, you've been in session the whole time. I should have mentioned that right from the start. And I brought that in here. Like, the session today has been very much about restoring that balance, bringing you back into balance enough that you can self-correct. Okay. This session's been that full immersion and that crystalline full immersion under this full moon. That's, take your crystals out if you haven't got around to it. Do the moon water thing. Stick your bottle of water, your glass of water, whatever, on the windowsill or out there in the moonlight overnight. Drink it first thing the next morning. It's an old school, very witchy thing to do, but it's very powerful. Bear in mind that water is a crystal. It is a crystal. That's why it communicates, like Professor Emoto showed us, right? And so use that. And that's why I'm saying hydrate, change the crystalline structure of your water though, because water we have now is so contaminated. It needs to be filtered. But with that too, add salt, add coconut water, brilliant. Add just a little bit, you don't have to add a lot, but change the actual chemistry enough that the crystalline structure of the water can be ingested into the body the way it needs to. Okay. And as I said, there are great foods like iceberg lettuce and watermelon and cucumbers. And there's a lot of great foods that are so good at hydrating the body. I'll be in touch. I've got some amazing programs set up. And so you guys are always going to be the first people to hear about. The body is the link to your divinity. Okay. We chose it. We're walking around in it. Sometimes we don't like what it does to us. And sometimes its lessons are brutal. Sometimes they sit us on our butts. So we have to think about where we're at. As much as we hate what the body does to us, it really does assist you in that. The body is still working really hard to bring you back to the whole truth of who you are and what you're here for the whole time. It's not our enemy. All right. I love you so much. I'm going to let you go there. I'm sorry we went a bit over, but we needed to. Enjoy the session. It's going to go on for about another 36 hours for you. So enjoy that.